Hi, heroes. I wanted to share with you a little bit of what I know now around intrusive thoughts. Sorry, I'm just trying to fix my camera. It's very annoying. So, what I'm going to share with you, I wish I would have known all about a decade ago when I was going through being diagnosed with OCD and having my babies kind of back to back to back. And I started to struggle with postpartum depression. And by my third baby, that postpartum turned into psychosis, and I could just not cope with the intrusive thoughts that were coming at me. And had I known what I know now, I wouldn't have suffered so much. But I'm so thankful that I've been able to learn and work with what I'm going to share with you around intrusive thoughts that have really changed my life and given me freedom and given me hope for healing. And so I really am excited to share this with you. So I wanted to talk about intrusive thoughts and what is the root behind intrusive thoughts. So the root behind intrusive thoughts is actually a fear of anger and an avoidance of anger as well. And kind of an unhealthy relationship with anger. So when I was a little girl, I knew my mother was different, and I didn't really know why. No one really explained it to me, what was going on with her, but I knew she was different, and I felt embarrassed to be around her. I felt ashamed that she was my mother, and I actually started to hate her because she was so different, because she made me feel so uncomfortable, because she embarrassed me. I started to hate her, and I didn't really like myself too much either, but my mom had schizophrenia. And so most of my life as a child and teenage years, I had people tell me, well, you're going to get that because your mom had that. And that was terrifying for me. I never wanted to be like my mother at all. I hated her. I didn't understand her. I was embarrassed by her. And I definitely didn't want to have whatever was going on with her. So I had all this anger kind of brewing up inside of me. And when I was little and I would have a temper tantrum or get angry, rightfully so, my mom would meet my anger with violence. So she would either swat at me or yell at me or pull my arm, or just she would meet my anger with anger. So she would remove love from me when I was angry. And what ended up happening is that when I started to feel anger, I started to feel guilt and shame because I felt so alone in my anger. And I thought I was like bad. I thought this angry part of me, I thought as a little child, a little girl, that this angry part of me was like a monster. And I tried to, pretend like she wasn't there. Like I didn't want anything to do with this anger I felt because it felt so horrible. And it made me feel like there was seriously something wrong with me and that I was unlovable and I wasn't good enough. And so I could not connect to my anger. And then at 9 years old, my mom left my life. She didn't come back till later on. And I went into foster care. And then my mom went missing when I was just before I turned 23, when I had my second son. But I had my first son when I was 18 years old. I got pregnant when I was 18. I'm just going to reel myself back in. This is a hot topic for me, and I'm really trying to focus so that I can give you guys the goods, basically, to let you know what I wished someone would have told me. I wish I would have had these practices. I really wish I would have known how to navigate intrusive thoughts, because they're scary. There are people that kind of punish you if you bring it up. Like, there's a real fear around it. There's a fear around how the system deals with people who have intrusive thoughts. There's a fear around even telling someone that you're struggling with intrusive thoughts. So with my first two pregnancies, I was 19 when I had my first, and I was 23 when I had my second. The first intrusive thought and postpartum hit me with my first baby at 19 when I was 6 months pregnant. And I will never forget it. It terrified me to the core. And like, I loved my baby so much, and to have these violent, aggressive thoughts towards my child, like, I just could not understand. And I started to hate myself even more and be afraid of myself, and thought I was crazy and mentally ill like my mother. And then it just got worse. I had 6 babies, and the postpartum depression got worse. To my third baby was actually the most intense, and that's where I had to go on medication. So, but in the first two, I did not tell anyone about what was happening in my mind. And I was a single mother at the time. With my second pregnancy, my baby's father died before baby got to term, and my mom went missing before baby got to term. So, I mean, it really makes a lot of sense why I struggled with postpartum depression, but I didn't have a good support system, and I was taking care of my babies as a single mom, and I was struggling with these intrusive thoughts. I was scared of myself. I didn't trust myself. I had no idea. I didn't even understand what being in my body actually felt like and meant. I didn't know how to ground, and I didn't know how to love myself. And I had to show up for these babies. I had to pretend to be normal, not crazy. I was so afraid of my biggest fear coming true, that I was going to end up just like my mom. And that was like my biggest fear. So I lived in fear and anxiety and panic, and I became like this hyper vigilant, overprotective mother, where I'm checking all the things, checking if baby's breathing, like number one concern about their safety. Gotta check like that the doors are locked more than once. Just high anxiety in social settings, and I was struggling. And I hated myself, and I really was lost, and I had these babies that I'm trying to show up for the best that I can, and I'm struggling with these intrusive thoughts. So what I'm going to share with you is just information that I feel like everybody should have. And there are 2 root causes of intrusive thoughts that, you can be going to your shrink, you can be going to your psychotherapist, you can go to counseling, you can take all the medication, and you can still struggle with intrusive thoughts. And you can be at the point where you're still just kind of seeking that out, and you're struggling now. Whatever direction you're on, this video is going to make a difference for you. So, number 1 root of intrusive thoughts is an unhealthy relationship with anger. So it's where you do not allow your anger to be expressed. And when we don't allow our anger to be expressed, we actually lose our voice, and we lose our truth, and we lose our boundaries, and we lose our authenticity, and we lose our access to our divinity, to our divine masculine and feminine, to God, whatever you call it. We're just lost without our voice. It's so important, but we're so afraid of ourselves when these thoughts come in. So unhealthy relationship with anger means you deal with rage. You will just explode. Time, like here or there, you don't even know why. All of a sudden you're triggered and you are raging. Or you're feeling so anxious all the time. So anxiety is actually a sign of unhealthy relationship, unexpressed anger. And that anger that sits in your body, it actually causes like the cells in your body to go the wrong way, and like just it brings in body breakdown, like disease, like cancer, all kinds of thyroid issue, immunotherapy issues, like mental health panic. Like, you're living in a constant state of alarm. So when I did not have a healthy relationship with anger.